Okay, last lesson of the chapter, and it's lesson 1.7, which is on the order of operations. Our learning target is that we can simplify a numerical expression using the order of operations. So this is a pretty basic lesson, and it tends to be a review of stuff you've learned when you were younger, but we're going to add a little part to the end of it. So the order of operations is what you guys remember as PEMDAS, but that's the part we're going to change a little bit. The first step in the order of operations is the parentheses, but that really means you're performing operations inside grouping symbols, and that's going to be the difference with this lesson compared to other times when you've done this, because we're going to use more grouping symbols than just parentheses. The second step is going to be to evaluate exponents, so the E. The third step is the M and the D, to multiply and divide, but remember you do that from left to right. Multiply and divide are equal to each other. And then our fourth step is going to be to add or subtract from left to right. So there's your A and your S. So you remember this as PEMDAS, but we're going to change it from PEMDAS to what we call GEMDAS we call it GEMDAS in 7th grade. So you've probably seen it written like that. Now I like to do something to this little GEMDAS to remember it. The G stands for grouping symbols, and the most common one of those are parentheses. So I like to put parentheses around the G. E stands for exponent, so I like to put a little 2 next to it to show that it looks like an exponent. Multiply and divide, the M stands for time, so I put a little time symbol. The D stands for divide, so I put a little divide symbol, but then I put a little arrow underneath it to remind me that it's left to right. A stands for add, S stands for subtract, so I put a little plus and minus sign. And again, I do that arrow from left to right. This picture here is basically the order of operations. And whenever I'm taking a test or doing a worksheet, I tend to write this on there as a reminder to follow the order when I'm solving problems. Grouping symbols or parentheses first, exponents second, multiply and divide from left to right, add and subtract from left to right. Let's do some examples. So the directions are pretty straightforward. We're going to simplify each expression using the order of operations. So we have 12 minus 3 squared plus 10 divided by 7 minus 5. So our first step is to do inside any grouping symbols. And you can see right there we have the parentheses. So we need to do inside there. I like to highlight what step I'm going to do. And then every time I do that step, I replace what I underlined with what it actually equals. So we'll rewrite 12 minus 3 squared plus 10 divided by, now 7 minus 5, we're going to replace that with what that equals, which is 2. Now before I do the next line, I know some of you guys are good at this and can combine steps in once. Well, I'm not going to do that when I'm teaching, and if you are going to combine 2 steps at one time, you better be good at this. Next line. I look for grouping symbols, and they're all eliminated, they're gone. So the next thing is the E for exponents. You can see right here we have 3 to the second power. So that's my next move. 3 to the second power means 3 times 3, which is 9. So I'm going to replace what I underlined with 9. So 12 minus 9 plus 10 divided by 2. So now that I've gotten rid of the exponents, you don't see any, I move on to multiply and divide. Well, there's a division right there. So I'm going to underline the 10 divided by 2. And we get 12 minus 9 plus 10 divided by 2 is 5. So again, I replaced my 10 divided by 2 with what it equaled. Well, now I have 2 operations left, 12 minus 9 plus 5. And some people make the mistake of doing plus first because the A comes before the S. But remember, they're equal to each other, and you go from left to right. So the 12 minus 9 comes first. And we replace that with 12 minus 9 is 3. plus 5, and now we got it down to one problem. That's the only step left to do, and we get the answer is 8. So we did all this work to find out that this whole mess equals 8. I'll probably do the next couple a little faster. Okay. So 2 to the third power plus 8 minus 4 divided by 3 minus 9. We do inside the grouping symbols first. And the first thing we're going to do in there is the exponent, because exponents come before adding or subtracting. We replace. 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Plus that 8 minus the 4, divide by the 3, minus the 9. We still have operations to do inside the grouping symbols, so I'm going to do 8 plus 8. Because add and subtract are equal to each other, but left to right. 8 plus 8 is 16, minus 4. Still have those parentheses because we haven't got it down to one number. Divide by 3, minus 9. Grouping symbols, we still have them. So 16 minus 4, that's 12. I got rid of the grouping symbols because we got it to one number. Divide by 3, minus 9. Well, now we have a division and a subtraction. Division comes first. We have 4 minus 9. And now you got to be careful here because we have integers, and 4 minus 9, remember we're going to do add the opposite. So off to the side I'm going to write 4 keep, minus becomes plus, and positive 9 becomes negative 9. So our math problem is 4 plus negative 9, and 4 plus negative 9 is negative 5. Be very careful of your integers. All right, 2 more. So these are the last 2 have to do with grouping symbols that are not parentheses. In this case right here, the grouping symbol is the fraction bar. And in number 4, the grouping symbol are these bars, which is the absolute value signs. So we're going to do the fraction bar one first. The fraction bar really means divide. And it's kind of like we have parentheses up here and parentheses down there. So I'm going to do inside the top parentheses first, then inside the bottom one, and then the fraction bar is divide, so I'm going to divide the 2 answers. Okay, so inside the parentheses we do 2, that's times negative 4, which is negative 8. So that's negative 8 plus the 22 over 4 squared minus 9. I'm still on the top. And all I have left to do is negative 8 plus 22. And remember, being careful of your integers. Negative 8 plus 22 is 14 over 4 to the second power minus 9. Okay, we have the top down to one number, so it's like the parentheses are gone. So now we do the bottom. Exponents come before subtraction. So 4 to the second power we must do, which is 16 because it's 4 times 4. So I have 14 over 16 minus 9. Now I do the 16 minus 9 on the bottom. And we get 16 over or 14 over 7. And then the fraction bar means to divide, like I said before. And that equals 2. And there you go. So that's a little different when you have the fraction bar, because what you have to do is you have to remember that the fraction bar separates the numerator and the denominator, and that it means to divide. Last one, absolute value. You treat absolute value the exact same way that you would treat parentheses. So we have to do inside the absolute value sign first. We are going to have to do something different when we're getting rid of it, though. 4 to the second power comes first, because exponents come before subtraction and left to right. So 7 plus the absolute value. 4 to the second power is 16, minus 6 to the second power. Close the absolute value sign. Divide by 5. Now we're going to do 6 to the second power. And 6 to the second power is 6 times 6, which is 36. So this is the absolute value of 16 minus 36 on the inside there. Divide by 5 still. Now I still have to do inside the grouping symbols, so I have 16 minus 36. So it's still 7 plus on the outside. I'm not getting rid of the absolute value yet because we have to do that. It's an operation. So I have negative 20 on the inside because 16 minus 36 is like 16 plus negative 36, which is negative 20. Close the absolute value sign, divide by 5. Now here's where it's different than parentheses. If it was parentheses, we would have been able to get rid of them and just write 7 plus negative 20. But we have to actually take the absolute value of negative 20, and the absolute value of negative 20 is 20. So we go 7 plus 20, divide by 5. We're almost done. Division comes before addition, so I divide, and I get 7 plus 20 divided by 5 is 4. We are down to one step, and 7 plus 4 is 11. Whew, that is a lot of work. So you can see that it takes a lot of work to do this, but the more practice you get, the faster it actually goes, and making sure you're following those steps is really important, all right? So that's the lesson for the day. I went pretty slow to try to explain it as best I could, so hopefully you understood it. And if not, be sure to ask me any questions that you have. All right, talk to you later. Bye.